Hey everyone, what is up? Welcome back to this series on how to build threads from scratch. And today's episode is going to continue on adding functionality to our post. So in the last two episodes, we added this ability to access our photo library to be able to post. Click one real quick. We added the ability to add the camera. Right now we're back in the emulator, so it won't show any actual images. Next thing we want to do is this next icon is Giphy. So we want to be able to search GIFs and then post a GIF, just like you would a photo from the library or from the camera. So again, we're going to use the same upload file functionality that we created for both the camera and the photo library, but add a little bit of extra logic in there to account for a GIF versus a JPEG. So let's get started. So what we actually, I took a screenshot. This is what we want it to look like. So it's going to be a new page, same modal type of thing. So it's going to be a modal on top of a modal. And then we're going to search the GIFs. Once we click a GIF, then it's going to go back to this post page and then post it just like you would a photo. But of course, as a gift, GIF, not gift. First thing I'm going to do is actually add the route. So let's do that. I'm going to go to layout. Just going to keep on adding routes here. So just like camera, I'm going to add, let's just do GIF. And then add the file, gif.tsx. Screens.gif, that doesn't currently exist, so let's add a new folder. Put some default text there for now, make sure it shows up. And click reload. Go back to our card, add a little button to this. We're going to keep on going down this line and add a pressable event to each one. Router.push/get. And there we go. There's our new route. Okay, so next thing I want to do is let's get this like little input, text input. And then we're going to go back to GlueStack. And the cool thing about this one is it adds a little, a bunch of types. So it makes it adding this like little search icon pretty simple. Let's see an example. I think they give it examples for the inputs. Yeah, there we go. So this is exactly what we want to use. Input with icons. So we're actually going to just copy and paste this one. And let's go over to and then let's see if we get ours. Nope, that worked surprisingly well. Our first try. Look at that. Okay, I would keep in mind this, how it's passed in the input icon, because I actually made the mistake of trying to pass it in as another file like this, but it's going to yell at you. Yeah, of course. So it is a little bit different than typical. So input icon as, and then you pass the icon without any brackets. Let's see. Maybe we do a VStack. Let's import it. And components UI. Oh, VStack. What if we put class name P5 here instead? There we go. Okay. Let's try it up here. Oh, yeah, there we go. And then I want to add some spacing as well. So P has 2. There we go. So now we have our input. Perfect. Okay, now that we have our inputs, we want to actually do something with it. So let's add const search, add search. Let's import to React. Let's remove this text from before. Let's do value on change. Okay. So now we actually are storing the value. on this search. Next thing we want to do is integrate with the Giphy API. So with Giphy, you don't actually have to pay, you are rate limited. So we're going to come to that in a second, but you can sign up for Giphy for free and just get an API key. We already did that and put it as an environment variable. So what we're going to do is then create a hook called use GIF. You could use Giphy, use GIF, whatever. It's the same. And let's copy and paste one of these hooks so we can just delete it. GIFs, get GIFs, use GIFs. Okay. We don't need Superbase here. And then the API we're going to use. So what we're going to do actually at first, on load, which is this on load, it's going to just get trending, which is cool because then it changes. It's the holidays right now, so it's showing holiday-based GIFs. This is summer-based GIFs. And then once they start typing in, you could do the search endpoint, so you can update that view. So what we're going to do, use query, trendy cons, API Giphy.com. Okay, let's make sure we got the right syntax. API Giphy.com /v1/gifs/trending. And then process.env.giphy API key. Okay, we're just going to limit to 10. So like I said, you are rate limited. So this is one way to limit it, the amount of GIFs that actually show up. Because especially during development, every single time you reload the page, it's going to reload that API endpoint as well. It helps with TNStat query, but every single time you type in, we're going to want to update the search. But we're going to use our create a debounce function to fix that. So at first, let's just import it as is. Let's import our hook. And then I don't understand why every single time I copy and paste the file and then you just retype the same thing and it goes away. TypeScript, huh? Gotta love it. And then the next thing we want to do is add a flat list. So let's do flat list and then import from React. And I guess right now we'll import text item.title. And let's also log the data that we're going to get. So remember, this runs on load. So this should call this trending API as soon as we reload this. And we could see unauthorized, of course. Okay, I just realized we just named this wrong. So we had the right API key, but I put expo public Giphy API key. And that's so that the front end, you have to put expo public for the front end to be able to read API keys. So let's reload real quick. I didn't actually retest it, but 99% sure that was the problem. Let's try it again. So we go post, click Giphy. There we go. Okay, so not exactly what we want to show, but we have this long array or data of items that we want to show. So we got a bunch of different things in here. The main thing we want is, so we have an embed URL, ID, import, trending, alt text, oh, even the username. So the main thing we want here is the URL. So what we're going to do is we could actually store this URL as a different field into the post, but I want to treat a photo from the library, a photo from the camera, a Giphy, and even if we do recording or maybe not location, I want to treat them all as the same, which is why we put a generic file key name on the post. So what we're going to do is actually download this file to our Superbase account and then show that URL instead of this URL. We could just show this URL because actually we're going to do that in this flat list. So we'll see what that looks like in a second. So let's just do that right now. So let's import image. So it's item dot images. Actually, is it images or is it URL? Interesting. Let's see what this returns. I don't think that's right. Yeah. So it's item. It should be item.url. And then let's do height 10, width 10. It's gonna be small. Okay, there we go. So very tiny. But I think what we want to do is just do the same thing we did here. Each one uses about 1/3 of the screen. And if I remember correctly, we can do, well, height doesn't want to be 1/3 actually. So height, let's just see what happens. Of course. I'll do height 10, width 1/3. And then in here, I want our columns instead, maybe. Okay. I think we just have to reload. That should work. Or not. Okay. So we just had to add a number of columns, but interestingly enough, item.url doesn't always exist, even though it showed up that one time, which is interesting. It says it's here, but instead we used item.images.original.url, and then they showed up. Okay, so then we want to do maybe, there we go. Put some margin around the corners, and now we got a bunch of items. So now we're only showing this many items because that's what we limited the API to. So we can just change that if we were to do like, let's do 18, and then reload. And then now we got a full list of items. So you could call more items as you scroll down, but that's good enough to fill up the whole screen. So the next thing we want to do is actually, well, we already made this clickable. Actually, let's get rid of this console log to show all of them because you can't see anything otherwise. So now it's logging. I should just log the URL. Okay, perfect. So now we get the URL. So this is the URL that we want to download. But first, let's implement search. So we could do export search GIFs. Actually, we don't even, so let's fix this for a second. We don't need to export both of these. Doesn't hurt, but we don't need it because we're just going to use both of them in here. So all we need to do is export use GIFs. Okay, and then in search GIFs, we're going to pass in a query string. And then this is the different API that we're going to use, api.giphy.com/v1 GIFs search. I could do stickers as well. What's the difference between stickers and GIFs? I'm not really sure. So v1 GIFs search API key, same API key, and then our query, and then we're going to limit to 18 as well. And then what we could do is in here, query, and then if there's a query passed in, use the search GIFs function. If there's not, then use get GIFs, get trending. Sure, get trending GIFs, and then search GIFs. Okay. Then let's go back to our file. So search right now is empty. Actually, let's reload to make sure this still works. So make sure it still loads everything. Yeah, perfect. And then what we want to do is type something in. T. Oh, there you go. Hello. Okay, our search works. Problem is though, that just called the API 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. And then that's because every single time this search input changes, it calls the API. And you're actually limited to 100, I think it's 100 API calls per hour on the free version. So you can imagine you're going to hit that limit pretty quickly. So what we want to do is we created this use Debounce functionality. You can also import it from a library. There's a library called Lodash that you can do it, which has a ton of different functionality, but all we really need is Debounce. So we just create our own. And this just sets a delay of 500. We could pass in more if we want, but this is the default. So you pass in the value that you want it to debounce or wait to input. There's a timer of 500 milliseconds. Yeah, half a second. And then once that half a second passes, then return that item. And so you could do, here, let's pull this in. Let's import use debounce. And then instead of passing in search on debounce, yes. Okay, so instead of just passing in the search directly here, we pass it into the debounce search. Just hold off for 500 milliseconds and then pass it into data. So here, we can see what that looks like real quick. If we just do search, let's log. See how it gets. This is how many times it would call use GIFs if we just use search directly. Every single different, I typed something that I reloaded. Every single keystroke. But with use debounce, it does. Hello. Goodness. See how it logs a bunch of empty things and then it only gets the last thing. So testing. So it only calls it. It's still calling it 2 times, which I'm not really sure why it's doing it 2 times. But 2 times is still a hell of a lot better than 20 right here. And then you could also increase this to 500 or 5,000, which would be 5 seconds, which would be a little ridiculous. Hello. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then it searches. So that's way too long, but you can change it to whatever you want. We're going to change it, use 500 milliseconds, use debounce. And then if there's no value, it goes back to trending, which is nice. Next thing I want to do is do something on click. So we want to be able to download this Giphy file. So we're going to use the same, let's see, this same functionality from upload file. What we want to do though is to be able to account for, here, let's just show, let's see what this logs. Not new form data, URI. We're just going to log the URI because everything we've passed into this upload file to this point has been like a file :/s, so a local file. And right now we have a Giphy or HTTPS. So what we're going to want to do is handle HTTPS files differently because we want to download them first. So let's go to our Giphy file. Let's do. So we're going to create a function called const upload. Actually, we don't even need to create a new one. We already have it. So let's import upload file from use post. And of course, import the post provider. And remember, this upload file takes in an ID, a URI, which is the URL right now, a type, which would be image/GIF or GIF, and then the name of the file. So maybe to make it clearer, actually, handle upload. Handle upload, so this is going to be posts. We don't have the post ID. So we need to, just like we did before, when we navigate to this page, let's comment this out for now. when we navigate to this page, we need to pass in a thread ID equals use local. Yeah. But then we need to actually pass it when we navigate to this page because we're not doing that right now. So let's go back to card. So just like we're doing right here, let's do the same exact thing. So path name GIF, params, thread ID is the post ID. So now when we go to this page, we should, I'm gonna close some of this stuff, confusing me. This should be thread ID as string, then the URL, then image GIF, because that's the type of file it is. URL, that's split.pop is the name. Let's make sure that's what we want. Const name equals console log name. Let's try that. So the name would be Giphy.gif question mark all this. So maybe we split on question mark first. Get the first item, then split, and then pop. Let's try that again. So it's just Giphy.gif. That works. Although, since we only have a folder of the user ID, this means you only gonna have one GIF ever. We can, let's use UID, just like we're using, if I could find it somewhere. Oh, I moved it to post provider. Just like we're using crypto random UID, we could do the same thing with GIF because that's too generic of a name. That's just not gonna work. Let's do name equals, let's do, yes, there we go. And then remember we want to import, I think it's import star. That might work, but consistency is key. There's a million ways to do the same thing in coding, but I think the important thing is to keep consistent at least. Okay, so now we have the name. Let's log the name just to make sure. Okay, perfect. So now we got our name, image GIF, and then thread ID. This is probably still not going to work, but press handle your ID. Okay. It's not going to work because, this is logging the URL from this upload function. Let's console log data in error. So this is the URL, and then, it actually worked. So the full path is files.gif, and then the ID and the path. Okay. I thought we were going to have to make some changes. So let's check to see that upload D1B. Let's reload. D1B. There we go. And that file is very large. But it worked. So the next thing we want to do is we want to dismiss this on click and then show it where we would show the post. So let's remove this. So this should call storage files user date post with the ID, the file, and the data.path. So that should already be set. And I think we might have seen it real quick, but then it disappeared. So let's do handle upload file. So it uploads it. Once it's uploaded, we want to do router.back. And let's import router. Yeah. Let's try this one more time. Wow, that took a while. And it's not showing up. So let's see what's going wrong here. Oh, and it took a while because we were waiting for the file to upload. So what we could do is, just like we did in the other ones, for it to show up quicker, let's set photo. Let's see if that works actually without uploading the file. Yeah, there we go. That works. Okay, but it's not working as, let's make sure. We don't have to wait for it because it's going to take a little while in the background. Let's cancel and start from scratch. Okay, let's make sure this post gets updated. And console log post. So, okay, so now I can see it login. This file is null, and then click this guy. Then the file is updated. Okay, that worked. And then let's post. Reload. Oh, okay. It just took a second, hot second. Perfect. Okay. So we got exactly what we wanted. We wanted to delete all. To search Giphy. Thanksgiving. Gobble. And it's really quick, so because it just shows the URL, but that's not the URL we're going to use. We're going to download it, and then it gets downloaded to, so we can see test. Oh, I removed that log already. So it gets downloaded, then we post, reload. There we go. Gobble. Gobble to you, bobble. Hope you join me for the next couple episodes as we keep on adding more functionality to this thread. And subscribe, and peace.